The Auto Expo happens once every 2 years and is a congregation of the entire automotive industry in a space where the past, the present and the future converge in a very harmonious way. And what better way to start this special episode than being at the Tata Pavilion. Hello and welcome to Pitstop, and this is our Auto Expo special. Let's get started with where the most amount of action has happened. That is the Tata Pavilion. On my right, behind me, on my right, that is, you will see the Harrier EV. Now, this has been in the making for a while, but Tata bluffed all of us because we all thought that it's going to be the Punch in the electric form that is going to be on display. But no, it's the Harrier Electric that has taken the entire crowd by storm. We did not expect this. And yeah, it's there and it is promised as a market launch in the year 2024. So 1 year from now, we will see the Harrier EV on the roads. But the star showcase at the Tata Pavilion was the one that you see behind me in the center, and that is the Sierra concept. Now, if you remember, the Sierra concept was showcased a couple of years back as well in the last Auto Expo. That was a very different design. The one that you see behind me now is completely different. That one did not have rear doors. This has rear doors. So the practicality quotient is going to be very, very high as well. But the legend of Sierra is going to be definitely happening in real. No announcement on the launch date, no announcement also on what exactly it packs. It is definitely going to be an all-electric car, but what the specs are, no news on that. But it is definitely happening, and that's very good news. And then behind me on the left, you see the Curve concept. Now, again, Tata has made a decent amount of buzz in the past as well with the Curve, and this has definitely been promised in two different forms. One is going to be all electric, but the one that you see here is ICE-based, so it is going to have an internal combustion engine, and this is also going to get launched in the near future. We are expecting somewhere in the region of late 2024 or 25, but this, in addition to being an electric car, is also going to be available as an internal combustion car. The most daunting presence of any product at the Toyota Pavilion is that of this. It is a specially made concept, which is the Hilux, of course. It's called the Extreme Off-Road concept, and this just goes to show what engineering push can really achieve, and this is exactly what it does. It just pushes the boundaries of off-road engineering, and a mammoth beast like this is what you get. But even the stock Hilux is, of course, in India now. It was showcased to the Indian audiences some time back. Bookings, of course, closed down, but it is now coming back. But the more important product, of course, because this is a concept, is the one that you see here. It is the latest Land Cruiser, and this one has been launched in a completely new form after 14 years. Yes, it is after 14 years that the Land Cruiser platform has been given a complete makeover, and that just goes to show what this car has done to the world. In fact, in any really bad situation, bad terrains, this is a car of choice for not just armies of the world, but even, unfortunately, the negative organizations of the world. But more than what the product really is, of course, it's now become very, very luxurious, but at the same time retains its off-road credentials. It is the legacy of the Land Cruiser that really appeals to a lot of people. And this thing just keeps going and going and going. In fact, this is the car of choice or the SUV of the choice in some of the most hostile of conditions, even globally. But Now we'll move to something called the BZ4X, and this is Toyota's first all-electric SUV that they've ever produced. This one is a bespoke electric architecture, and as you can see, very edgy styling and something that has been in the making for quite a while. The Japanese manufacturers have always invested very heavily in hybrid technologies, but for them, the all-electric game is something that has happened in the last about 7 to 10 years. And this, by Toyota, is a very, very cool showcase. Looks very nice, looks stylish, looks very edgy, as I said. And yes, it's big, almost a big crossover sort of a look. Definitely not going to be called an SUV in my book, but yeah, looks very striking indeed. From Toyota to Lexus, and Lexus is of course the luxury brand under the Toyota ownership. And over here is the RX 500h, very interesting SUV. In this category, it's all about Mercedes-Benz, BMW and Audi, and Lexus has been trying to make a little bit of an inroad in the Indian market. And this product, it comes with, of course, the F body kit, so you have a very nice, aggressive, sporty-looking grille and all the other fancy bits. And crucially, the engine is 2.4 liters turbo petrol, makes about 366 bhp, and is a strong hybrid. There is also a 2.5 liter regular petrol engine, but that of course is not going to be put up on display because it's a lesser model. This is all aggression, and it is going to of course take the fight to Mercedes, BMW and Audi and all the others. So very cool, fancy design, and again, Lexus is all about quietness and luxury, but also very cool performance. Can't wait to drive this one. Now we'll show you a couple of very good concepts, and one we'll talk about a little bit in detail. What we have just panned out from is LFZ concept here at the Lexus Pavilion. Of course, as the world is moving towards all-electric technology, this is again a big showcase in that space, all-electric architecture. But what is more interesting is the concept car that you see right here. So let's go there. This is the LF30, and very fascinating car, extremely stylish as well. In terms of design execution, it's one of the most fluid ones. But what is more interesting is the fact that this is based on hub motor technology. So there are 4 different motors mounted in the hub of the wheel. And if you look at the design execution as well, it's very different. In fact, even the tires, they're not really all regular tires. If you see the whole alloy design, it's very different and it's cut into the tires. So that's extremely fascinating. And then at the front, you'll see a little turbine sort of a design. And that is what essentially is the housing for the motors in the hub. Look at this over here. Extremely fascinating stuff from the technology standpoint, and yeah, one of the star showcases for the show. Now this is something that the world has seen quite a lot of already. It's the Hyundai Ioniq 5, and it is one of the top contenders for even the World Car of the Year awards. A couple of things that caught my fancy were, one, the price. At 45 lakh rupees, it is absolutely insanely priced for an all-electric bespoke architecture. And the other one is something very unique that not a lot of people will really catch, even in the press release that was handed out. And that is the recharge time of 10 to 80% with this car is about 18 minutes if you charge it from a 350 kilowatt DC charger. But interestingly, it is 21 minutes if you charge it from a 150 kilowatt DC charger, provided it is primed at 25 degrees Celsius of ambient temperature. So that was a very unique thing that caught my eye. completely unique and bespoke electric architecture eGMP platform, something that Hyundai has been developing for a while and is shared, of course, with a sister company also, and just looks absolutely smashing good with a reflection of what the automotive design used to be in the 70s and the 80s. And as is the case with almost every electric car that is coming out in the market, this one is also built with sustainable materials. And while the company claims that this is an SUV, frankly, it is really not. Fantastic design, great claim of range as well. So a very competent overall product in the electric car space. And now, after this, let's move on to the sister company, that is Kia. We're here at the Kia Pavilion now, and let me tell you one thing, that globally, the flagship product that Kia has is the Telluride. It's a big, massive, butch SUV, but this is the future. This is going to be the future flagship SUV. All electric, of course, because the world is moving in that direction. And this is going to be, again, 3 rows of seating, of course. And the one cool thing about the EV9 concept that you see behind me is that it has a little solar panel tucked away in the bonnet, and that is also a supply source for the electricity. This is going to be available in multiple configurations, dual motor, single motor setup, all that is there. Powered by, at least right now in the concept form, by a 77.4 kilowatt-hour battery. Of course, this is going to change, and Kia says that when it comes into production form, the battery is going to be essentially the largest that we know of. It also claims that the driving range is going to be well over 500 kilometers. So yeah, we can't wait. And well, looks are of course subjective, and this one is all about straight lines, rectangular design. So yeah, decide for yourself whether this looks good or not. That's the EV9 concept. But now what we are moving towards is called the KA4. This is essentially the replacement for the Carnival. This is the all-new generation, and a lot on the inside is all about luxury. Seating up to 11, and yeah, not a lot of it is really known right now, and Kia is also not committing with this car to the Indian market, but it is only a matter of time that this is going to come into India, especially because now even the Toyota Innova, or the High Cross rather, that has pushed the envelope, and this one is very nicely positioned to be in that space or a little bit above that. So that was Kia, and now we are at the pavilion of BYD, or Build Your Dreams. There are 2 products that are of very big importance. The BYD Atto 3 seems to be getting a lot of good press, and all for the right reasons. Globally, the BYD Atto 3 is a reasonably successful product, clocking in over 200,000 bookings and deliveries in the year 2022. A very decent looking SUV, and the interiors are genuinely funky. Plus the driving range is over 500 kilometers. This one now comes in a special shade of forest green, and the commanding price is about 34.5 lakh rupees, which is about 50,000 more than the regular model. But what has really captured the fancy of all the people at the Auto Expo at the BYD Pavilion is the seal. Now it's this car that you see right with me. Very nice design, very pleasant shape. It just flows, and there are no unnecessary design elements at all. But what is extremely good about this car is, one, from a performance standpoint, the company claims it will do 0 to 100 in 3.8 seconds. And it is going to have the maximum driving range of about 700 kilometers. So put these 2 numbers together and it just blows your mind. The other good number is the CD value of 0.219. So it is also very, very slippery. But one thing that really makes BYD stand apart from all the other manufacturers is the fact that these cars run on Blade technology batteries. And essentially the advantage of this technology is the fact that even on piercing the battery, the temperature rise is going to be only about 60 degrees, whereas if you factor in a regular NCM chemistry battery. If you pierce that, the temperature rise is going to be to the tune of about 600 degrees. So BYD is definitely proving to be a very, very serious player, and going forward it's only going to get better in the Indian market as well. And in terms of technology, these guys are absolutely insanely good. MG has done fairly well in India ever since the brand was introduced about 3 years back. And in this time, they have given the Hector 3 different revisions, and this one is the biggest of them all. This is the first proper facelift. As you can spot that with the massive grille section, and bigger than that is what hides inside, and that is a huge, huge screen. In fact, the moment you open the door, you are just going to be gaping and your mouth is going to drop on the floor. It's that big. And of course, all sorts of sophistications in terms of the software upgrades and everything. So yeah, a good facelift, and the Hector has just been getting refined more and more. This one, even more so, I'm sure. The MG4 is a design execution of 3 different institutions. One is the SAIC Motor Design Center in Shanghai, and the other 2 are in London. One is the Advanced Design Studio, and the third one is the Royal College of Art. And yeah, it definitely looks the part. It's a very good-looking hatchback. And this is essentially a market feasibility study by MG in India, whether this is going to make sense, because this is going to come in an all-electric form, and that's what is represented by the green plate that you see over here. Comes in 2 different battery pack options. One is a 51 kilowatt hour and the other one is a 64 kilowatt hour. So yeah, whether or not it makes into India as a product is something that we'll only see based on what the customers really give their feedback as. It's very difficult for us at Pitstop to say this for what is essentially a van, but this has been one of the most interesting displays at the Auto Expo, and specifically here for the MG Pavilion. This is the Star Showcase, and this is not so much about the product itself, which is a Ioniq 7, but the technology showcase, which is essentially the hydrogen fuel cell technology. Now, MG has come a long way because their first hydrogen fuel cell project was back in 2001. It was called the Phoenix, and this in 2023 is where the brand is at. Very interesting technology, of course, also because this is not only carbon neutral or does not emit any carbon emissions, but crucially, the only emission is also water. More importantly, and this is something extremely unique, is the fact that it acts as an air purifier as well. And it filters air to the tune of about 150 adults breathing in about 1 hour of driving. So yes, there's a lot to unpack over here, but very, very cool technology. And yeah, even as a product, as a van, it's not too bad. You see the crowd behind me? This crowd has gathered around the Star Showcase at the Maruti Suzuki Pavilion, and that is the Jimny. If you recall, the Jimny was showcased at the last Auto Expo as well, but that was in its original form, which was a 3-door car. This one is now a 5-door product. It has been stretched and re-engineered, and this is going to get launched in India this year itself. Prices, well, there are a lot of rumors floating about, but we think it's going to be a little on the pricier side, considering the kind of car it is and also the competition. So it's essentially going to start retailing at about 13-14 lakh rupees or thereabouts. So yeah, it's not really going to be all that affordable as we thought it would be. But then again, it's a Jimny. It has a great amount of legacy as well, powered by the very tried and tested 1.5-litre petrol engine, all grip technology as well, of course, because this is again going to be positioned as a very good off-road vehicle. going to be sold through the Nexa network, and yeah, that's all that we have for the Jimny right now. But here we have a completely new car. It is called the Fronx. Very weird name, I know, and I don't know what really went on in the minds of people at Maruti Suzuki. The name is just completely bizarre to me, but anyway, that aside, it is somewhere in between, say, the Brezza and the Grand Vitara. The front essentially looks completely like the Grand Vitara, ironically again. But overall, there is again a lot of change that has happened on the outside, inside, and yeah, it's going to be positioned in that space as well. So very interesting product to watch in the market and see what it does. But just kind of gives that much of a flexibility to the brand in terms of offering as many number of products as it does. And in addition to these two production-ready cars, Maruti also showcased a very crazy concept. It's called the EVX. And as you would have guessed by the name itself, it is going to be an EV and it is going to be a crossover. This is going to be a completely bespoke electric architecture, and it is going to come, or rather become a production reality, say around 2025 or thereabouts. Not a lot is really known about the product, no drivetrain specifications or stuff like that, but this essentially is a showcase of the brand's investment in the future technology. Suzuki is going to invest upwards of $1 billion in the bespoke electric architecture and also battery manufacturing. So it is going to be a very interesting space to watch, and also it is going to be very nice to see what kind of products roll out of that investment. There is a general sense of excitement around any global motor show, but at the 2023 Auto Expo, that has not really been the case. The sense of energy has been missing, and it's all been a very muted affair. There have been a lot of manufacturers that have given it a miss this time around, but I hope that is not the case from the next edition onwards, and it is back to being a full packed house. Having said that, there have still been some products that have genuinely tried to salvage the situation, and I hope you liked the slight rushes that we brought you from the Auto Expo in this special episode. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to connect with us, just go on any of these social media pages and drop in a line to us. Before going, as always, I urge you to be very responsible whenever you're on the road, be it on feet or on wheels. My name is Ashish, signing off. I will see you in 7.